Well, and especially, and I would say obviously the people who you bring in and they experience this type of I don't know, these types of entities and this type of communication that is out of the norm from what we
Yeah.
all experience.
Yep.
We put ourselves into a box anyway. All of
Yeah.
us do. And society does the same thing. Society and technology and all this stuff puts us deeper and deeper into a box that is just enclosed to where we can't open our minds to that type of concept. And we don't want to open our minds because
Right.
it takes us out of our comfort zone. And I think that's
Yeah.
the problem. The ancients probably understood a little bit better because they did not have this constrained society to deal with. You know, they didn't have
Yeah.
laws.
Not
They didn't
bad.
have, right?
Yep.
Do you see what I'm saying? They
Yep.
didn't have this type of setup of society is what I'm trying to say. And then because of that, any type of spiritual activity they took seriously. They didn't take it
Yeah.
as, no, science tells us that's not true because we have so many biased views out there and we have the internet and we have, people just like what us right here talking, but they're talking in the complete opposite. And they're saying, no, you shouldn't believe in any of this stuff. You shouldn't believe in religion or spiritual or dimensions or anything. It's just a rock that we live on in space, right?
Yeah.
They try to make things so basic and very generic, and they make us all feel very small. So when we feel small, and then we're introduced to a concept that is bigger, then we become very scared and frightened by that.
Yeah. And this phenomena also calls into question everything else. Life
Mm.
after death, every
Hmm.
cryptid, every ghost story you heard, fairies, elves, it really does.
Hmm.
Because if this is happening, if this exists, how much of that other stuff exists as well that we don't know about? That's the other issue that people have, I think, as well. And then it's conflicting too. As children, you're taught to believe in fairies. Young
Mm.
children believe in fairies, elves, and all the rest. And as you get older, you go, no, that's all nonsense.
Mm.
And I think it just
Well,
conflicts with their reality.
it goes the other way around too because parents don't want children to be frightened. So
Yeah, yeah,
if they're scared of monsters, fairies, elves, anything, they'll say that's not real. So don't believe in it. And all
yeah,
that's doing is putting a power of suggestion into that child's mind. And we've all had it. We've all had people tell us, well, that's not real. You shouldn't believe in that. It doesn't matter if it's a friend, an adult, a parent. It doesn't matter.
yeah.
And when you grow up with that, you start to conform that mentality. And so that's what leads to that skepticism that you had when that bag flew and your daughter said, you're just going to have to open up and accept it.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. I've seen we've had full body apparitions walk through the house, hooded figures, and over the years, I've one of the things that really done my mind is I've had two lots of instances. I've seen them personally. My daughter's seen double. What are they called? Doppelgangers or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's this was after the well, I spent in hospital and sort of recovering. We're back at home, and my son said to me one day, and I was still having hauntings and stuff. And my son said to me, "I'm going out," and I listened. Yeah, heard him go out the door, heard the car start and drive off. Within 5 minutes later, I was sitting at the table just like this, and he walked in the back door, and I looked at him. I said, "Hey, I thought you were going out," and he just had this weird look on his face. He walked past me, walked around the corner and went to the lounge room, which I couldn't see, from where I was sitting.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, my wife and daughter were all getting ready to go out ourselves. And so they said, yeah, we're ready to go. And I said, well, Zach's home. And I said, why don't we invite him? I said, hey, Zach, do you want to come? And they said, Zach's not here. And I said, yes, he is. He just walked straight past me. And they said, no, he's not here. I said, he's in the lounge room, and they walked in there and he wasn't there.
Hmm.
And then by sheer chance, we ran into my son when we went out. And I said, did you come home before? And he said, no, I've been out the entire time. And he had been.
Wow.
That was one instance of a doppelganger. I can't
Yeah,
pronounce it.
doppelganger. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And then the other instance was my youngest daughter was walking through the shopping centre. It was really, really crowded. and she's seen it. She was there to meet her older sister, but she was there early, and she's seen. Anyway, she's walking through, and she's seen her sister just a few meters up front. So she's calling out to her, and her older sister won't respond, just kept walking, and she's singing out chasing through the shopping centre. Anyway, her older sister then, the one she was chasing, walked around the corner. And as she walked around the corner, her real sister walked out, and she just said to you, "I've just been chasing you through the shopping centre." And her sister said, "I've just literally walked in the door." And the image she's seen was wearing the same clothing and looked identical to her sister. And wherever that one went, it vanished, and the real one came around the corner. That's some of the stranger stuff, that's happened.
Okay, so you said the shopping center. So were there other people there?
Yes.
So these entities are essentially appearing in front of a crowd of people as well, too.
Yes. I've had an incident where my wife was just put in intensive care. I was driving. I was in the first 2.5 hours of driving a 16-hour drive straight, and I was just outside the city out here named Warwick. And as I was driving, a black figure appeared, like shadow, full-on figure, apparition appeared in my passenger seat. And I jumped, I swerved, and I ran off the road. I nearly crashed the car.
Wow.
And then I found out at the time that was the first time that my wife stopped breathing and flatlined. There was like 3 instances of that. She had near-death experience, but we've also had incidents before all this happened, like during the haunting, where the figures would appear in the backseat of the car. And yeah, we've seen them outside the house. It wasn't just limited to the house where the haunting sort of happened. So I remember going to the shopping centre one night, and it was late at night. We were going to see a movie, and there was no one around. And as I'd walk up to every window, like display window, everything in the window would just fall down. It happened 3 times, so I ended up leaving the shopping centre.
Now, you don't have to share this if you don't want to, but I do have a question. You mentioned your wife flatlined 3 times, and 3 separate times, right? 3 different times?
Yep.
Okay. Whatever this entity is, whether you want to call it demonic or just a negative type of entity, is it trying to kill her? Do you think? Or do you think that, or the circumstances of the events are causing this to happen? I think I'm just trying to get a better understanding of if they're trying to attack her or if they're trying to cause her death in some way.
I don't know so much if they try to cause the death of the person, but when these things get inside you, they seek out other people that are bad and negative, like they are. Mm-hmm. So I'm not 100% sure if it was intentionally trying to get to do it. But what happened was it was initially after me. I had all the mystery illnesses, and I forget what they call that stage. I had a migraine there for 3 months straight there at one stage. I was really, really sick. They thought I had brain tumor. They thought I had malaria, which doesn't exist here, and all the rest. And then they couldn't find no cause. It just vanished. The depression stage, that's it. Then there was a stage before that. They thought I had bowel cancer. They were doing the scans. They told me I had bowel cancer, basically, and they couldn't find nothing, and just vanished. It was initially after me, and I had ghost hunters come in one night trying to help with what was going on. Worst mistake I've ever made, because people talk, but most of them don't know what they're doing. Mm-hmm. Anyway, they wanted me to stir it up, so I challenged it, and I told it, "If you never ever have me, take me," and all the rest of it. And that's when it took her, whatever this was. So yeah, I don't know what its end goal is 100% at all.
So what I found really interesting, what you just said was, you were kind of going down the road of mentioning a brain tumor.
Yeah.
And yet, when you had somebody come into the house to cleanse it, that person ended up with a brain tumor.
Yeah, she did. I think she's still being treated for it now, yeah.
Really? So there seems to me that there might be some kind of connection with that. If you had the same similar experience, but then they thought it was a brain tumor, but then it went away for you.
Yeah.
Huh.
I was really sick. I was walking the walls, falling over, vomiting every day. I was really, really bad there. And to this day, both cases, they don't know what happened at all. Then there's another weird incident I had. I had this pimple on my back once. I was doing bottom cleans and stuff, and I had a pimple on the back. And anyway, I squeezed it, and I got a botfly larva out of it. Botflies don't exist in Australia. These are other just weird stuff that's happened. Like malaria doesn't exist in Australia, and I can't explain that either. But yeah.
Wow. Now,
it's
how did you see a doctor on that?
I don't remember. It was such a long time ago. I don't think I did. I think I squeezed the thing out. It was, you could see it was like a maggot. It was all segmented and all the rest.
Yeah.
And it looked like it was dead when I finally got it out of me. It was a pretty big lump on my back, but no, I don't think I did see a doctor for that. I did see the doctor about the haunting. Because I went in there and I told him what I've been seeing. I said, I think I'm going crazy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just doing my head in with the haunting and the stuff we were seeing in the house and things were happening. And they done tests and all that, and they just said, no, you're normal. So, yeah, I did try to seek help for that because I thought I was going crazy. But the only good thing about all that was there was plenty of witnesses to what went on in the house and, at that stage. Still goes on in the house here at times. It's quiet here at the moment, but from time to time we get a bit of activity.
Now, does it have a history to it?
No, it's the haunting has followed us for 7 houses.
Oh, okay. So it doesn't matter what house you're in.
Yeah. And people say to me, oh, get rid of your items, something in here's one of your items are possessed or whatever. But the thing is, there's, from the initial haunting, I think there's one table. I don't think there's going to be a haunted coffee table. You know what I mean? There's nothing that exists from those days, and one bookshelf. That's it. Everything else we didn't have back in those days. We were pretty poor, so we didn't have anything back in those early days.
Yeah. Huh. So getting back, I guess, then to... Now, what do you call the creatures that are outside that you run across on the trail? What do you call those? Do you have a name for them?
We're calling them the forest people for the moment.
Okay.
Because apparently they don't like being called the Yowies, so we call them the forest people.
Okay, so the forest people. How did that come across? So are you, these trails, are they heavily populated with people at all? Like, are they near residential areas, or are they pretty remote?
No, they're some are remote. Some trails lead right up to the back fences of houses, and you'll get activity right up to those back fences coming out of the bush. Yeah.
Okay. So, have you ever seen anybody else on the trails that's not the forest people, and have they said anything?
Well, one of the areas we went into where we got a lot of activity, the first day we went there were 300 runners doing a cross-country run through there. And we were getting rocks left, right, and centre, and they didn't seem to get anything. Even I was walking back there on the trail there at one stage to go back to the car because I lost my phone, so I hiked back probably about 1 kilometre. And I had a runner behind me and I had a rock coming out of the bush, and I looked at it and he sort of looked and just looked away like totally oblivious. But what we've discovered is they choose who they interact with. So they initiate contact, they will choose who they interact with. And
so in other words, there must be a type of energy that you convey that gives them a sense of, I don't know, peace, respect, or something to where they communicate with you, is what you're saying.
Yeah, yeah, something. I think they can read your intent as
Yeah.
well, and like I don't know, maybe those other people are too closed for interaction. But having said that, if a rock came down, that I would do one or two things. I'd run out there screaming, or they'd just be totally oblivious to it. So I don't know if that's got something to do with it or not.
Now, speaking of the rocks, I find this very interesting because, at least in America, what I've heard from the stories in the Rocky Mountains, California, Oregon, any of that kind of Western Bigfoot, I've always heard stories of massive boulders being thrown at people.
Yeah.
So how big are these rocks that you're describing?
Well, you can anything the size of a marble up to the. Oh, I'm trying to think how big. We've had some pretty big ones rolled across the trail. Actually, rolled, not so much thrown.
Okay.
The rocks at Delarcher, they can be up to a size of a house brick, and they can land like literally centimeters away from you. I've got to go back and face off those fellas because they last time I was there, they threw a rock and narrowly missed my head and all the rest. And yeah, I've got to go back there and stand up to them.
Is that what they want? Do they want you to go back and stand up to them?
Yeah, it's all initiation.
Really?
This is all initiation, basically, see if you're worthy. There's another place we go to called The Rock, and it's a really remote bush track. It's not near houses, that one. It's very remote.
Okay.
And when we walked in there, every time we'd go in there, there'd be large rocks thrown, and they'd be landing really, really close to you, all around you, and to the point that we were having second thoughts of going in there. And just, I think last week and the week before, we went back there and we just rode it out. And now they play with us. They put ferns in our hair, and we're welcome there. It's all initiation. This is why we think people don't get the interaction, because they don't survive this part of the initiation. You have to sit there and grin and bear it. If they bring a tree down there, you stand there and say, "Hey fellas, that was cool. Can you do another one?" Mm-hmm. Don't show any fear. It's all a game of bluff to see if you're worthy, basically. I'm absolutely convinced of that. Even the stick to the head that I got, that they might have misinterpreted what I said earlier. I might have moved, or it might have been quite deliberate to see how I react. And yeah, once you survive that, you'll get your interaction.
Now, as far as I know you've seen eyes, right? Looking at you, glowing eyes. You've seen the apparitions of them, almost like if they're crossing through this dimension.
I've got one in full Predator mode on a video there. That full Predator mode, how Predator does it, I've got one actually doing that.
Now, is that the one that I saw, the one with your wife, where it was right next to hers, or
no? That's different. That's different again.
Okay.
Yeah, this one looks like Predator would. Yeah, how Predator uses camouflage. I've got one of those going across after they roll a large rock towards my wife.
Okay. Oh, I'd like to see that one for sure. So, having all of this that you've seen, have you ever seen them actually like appear, or have they always stayed kind of hidden from you?
They stayed kind of hidden, but I've seen their arms and I've seen their bodies, and I've seen them very quick. They're very, very quick and very silent. And the only way I can describe them is like they look like a gibbon, but more human. They've got the long, slender arms and that really skinny build, but they're more human-like. But yeah, if you Google a picture of a gibbon, imagine that as an early human, you'd have something pretty close to what they are.
Yeah. Do you think that if people were introduced and saw them as a physical creature, that they would be more frightened by them?
Well, yes. I've asked. Well, this is another thing they've told me. I've asked them to appear, show me, and their reply is, it's got to be done in stages because it's going to be too overwhelming.
Really?
Overwhelming. and like people they've had they don't want people to be scared of them at all. They want people to know they exist and not to be scared of them. But in the past when they've done this, people have just run out there screaming, basically. So they're doing it in stages very slowly. That's why I'm getting video captures here and there and all the rest. It's I don't know if you've ever read up on how modern people contact old tribes still living on the islands, or even aliens for humans for that matter. First of all, you see the ship. Second of all, you might see one from a distance, and then, a bit closer, and it sort of progresses. So that's the same sort of thing they're doing. It's like that bit by bit.
Okay.
Until you get that full contact.
Now, you brought up aliens. I wasn't going to go there, but I was thinking it. So I'm sure that a lot of people are thinking it. Do you think that they could be extraterrestrial?
Possibility, possibility, because with anything with Bigfoot, Yowies, ghosts, it's the amount of times it's the areas where that you find them cross over, it's phenomenal. Like if you find one, you find the other. It's possibility.
Yeah.
But that's where we come back in when we've been talking, whether are we dealing with two different things, like we've got these physical creatures that I've got captures of, and then this other one which is spiritual or maybe advanced technology. We just not 100% sure, but the areas I go into, they definitely have UFO sightings and stuff like that does go on. That's just goes hand in hand. It's like the larger.
Sure.
It's an abandoned railway tunnel in the national park. I can go and get demonic voices, disembodied voices out there, but then I can get Yowie activity outside the tunnel, and it goes hand in hand. And there's a bit of a story about there. A boy went missing during the day there, and can't say a real lot on here. But anyway, his phone pinged at a certain location. Anyway, and somehow they searched for 3 weeks straight, hundreds of people, and didn't realise his bike was tied up right at that location. 3 or 4 weeks later, they realised it was there, which is really strange. But cut a long story short, they searched for weeks and weeks and weeks, and then they sent the SAS in there to retrieve his body, who found it within an hour. After 300 searches, couldn't find it. And it's a very, very bizarre story. His mother contacted me there a couple of years ago, Angela, and they said they cremated his body and won't give her an autopsy report. And that happened where I just a few months after I got all those demonic voices and stuff out of that tunnel and in that area with large rocks being thrown at us. You can Google that one, just Google Delatra and missing boy, will all come up, but you've got to read through the cover up and really study it. You'll see when you do that and you find enough stories on it, you'll see the contradictions and you'll start making sense. It's closer to a 411 case than anything else. Yeah.
Which is really interesting. The 411 has really fascinated me over the years.
Yeah.
Do you think that then these creatures are part of something like that, or do you think these creatures are the opposite of that?
From what I see, they're the opposite. When with the 411, it could be just a case of these people who are just stumbling into their little dimensions or portals or whatever you want to call it. It could be just a simple case of that.
Okay,
honestly,
and I don't mean to cut you off, but the dimensions and the portals that you were mentioning, talking about that with these entities, are these dimensional portals just there, and that people could stumble everywhere across them? So they're everywhere.
Yeah, the way they describe
glitches,
them,
they're like glitches in a game in a way.
Yeah, they're everywhere, and that's what they're doing. That's what these guys do most of the time. They're just looking for them because that's what they're one of the main things they do each day is they just go looking for these different entrances, and then that's when they mark them with the star structures or whatever. There's the little glyphs and stuff they build. That's what some of their structures are about, marking these places and where they are.
Are you ever afraid that you're going to fall into one?
No, not really. No, I've they reckon they said they're marked by the good ones are marked by the arches. I've walked through so many arches, like really impressive arches they made, and yeah,
Hmm.
um, I I don't know. I think that's maybe you got to be the next. I don't. What would you call it? More open to it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, so much we just don't know about it.
So, and I really do appreciate you coming on and sharing these stories. And I want to have you back on so we can clearly discuss a lot more and maybe even go over some of the videos that you have as well. But
Yep.
I think what I want to do to follow this up is to say, have they ever followed you home? Because it seems like they are really good at hiding and really good at blending in with things. Do they ever make it into the house?
No, not that I know of.
Okay.
Yeah, that's another thing they like doing. We've come across actually it puts things in inside the car. And there's a couple of times they understand technology. They've turned my cameras off before.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a camera in there, Nikon P900 I use. The 1000 is just way too big to carry around.
Mm-hmm.
And the first time I went out there, in one particular place, it malfunctioned. I lost three-quarters of the photos of it, and it's never malfunctioned before or after that now. The other day I was setting up a nice little camera trap with them. That's when the rocks hit the camera and stuff when I set it up. And they somehow managed to pull the battery out of my camera while I was still inside of a case, inside of a bag. They're very good at that. And then there's another incident. This is where I think they get confused with context. We had people in four-wheel drives tearing up. We were there one day. We were interacting with them, and they were just come flying through, tearing up the place. And I said to them when they were gone, I said, "Look, I'd love to teach you how to disable that car. Pull injector plugs off because I can't stand them either. They go in there and make a mess and destroy the forest." And then after that, I left, and as soon as we just got meters down the road, our car literally started misfiring, breaking down, and barely run. We had to limp it to a friend's house, and I managed to reset the computer, fix it, and it's never done it again. So I think when I was talking about disabling cars, they misunderstood what I said and disabled our car.
Right. Right.
And that's the same for stick with the head as well. When I get hit in the stick with the head, just before that, I was giving gifts by, and I'm crossing a creek, and I'm sitting there fixing my shoes up. I said to my wife, "Do you think they would protect us if if a bad person came or we got attacked?
Right.
Do you think they protect us?" And then it was only minutes after that, I was walking up the trail and I got the stick to the side of the head. I think they misunderstood what I was saying, or they were showing what they could do. But yeah,
Right. Right.
Yeah.
So really, it's there's a communication gap, is what you're
A
saying.
little bit of one, yes. Yeah.
But at least you're working.
They understand.
At least you're working on it, and you're achieving something that nobody else is achieving.
Yeah, it's like I said, because we've gone through everything else leading up to this. There's not much that scares us. I get rattled at times, like in Delacha when I nearly got hit in the head with that large rock. I was bending over and recording now. My wife's beside, and a rock just came skimming through the tunnel and just missed my head. It was a pretty big rock.
Mm-hmm.
Then after that point, walked through Delacha, a rock would come down and I'd jump sky high, but I was determined to stay there. But generally, yeah, you just don't try not to show fear, and you just got to overcome it if you want to go to the next level. And anyone who's doing Bigfoot stuff over in the US, I'd say to them, look, try to overcome your fear.
Mm-hmm.
If you encounter a Bigfoot aggressive one, go back and leave it gifts. Go and leave it some fruit, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then if it bluff charges you stand there. Number one rule we have is never run out of these areas. Never walk. You always walk, never run.
Mm-hmm.
And we always try to push the envelope as far as we can get it, no matter how hard and how chaotic things are getting and dangerous. And then, and this is how you earn their respect. And once you can overcome that, you'll go to the next stage of just pure interaction. You'll leave it something, it'll give you a gift back, or it'll follow you and throw rocks and pebbles at you very gently. I've been and other people, we've been hit with some very, very large rocks. I mean, like sizes of large potatoes. They'll come flying out bush and hit us and just roll off so gently and not hurt. They're truly remarkable what they do.
Do you think, as just kind of a final question, do you think that it's possible the government knows about them? Or do you think this is something that might still be unknown at this point?
I don't think they know about these guys. They definitely know about Yowies. I know of a case of Yowies where they've just found the torso and unknown DNA on them, which has been covered up in the media over here. You just don't hear about it. There's been a couple of cases like that. The reason I know about it because I had contacts with people in that community who hear about these incidences. But as far as these ones are concerned, I don't think anyone knows about them. I'm trying to find out how I can research like more in the Aboriginal myths. I know a fair bit about the Aboriginal culture and their myths and stuff. I've never heard anything like this, and I'm even looking at maybe something from England, pagans or something, because they used to talk of forest people, tree spirits and stuff. Whether that's what this is, I just don't know. I'm trying to find if there is something. I would assume the ancients would have known, but just trying to find that information. I just don't know where to look.
Yeah. Well, Glenn, I got to tell you, thank you so much for coming on and sharing these stories. And I want to schedule a follow-up with you because it can really kind of continue on. There's so much here that we're learning and so much that you're discovering for us to learn. So I really appreciate you doing that and coming on.
Yeah, we're really pushing the envelope. Like at times, some of the rocks, our safety is in question, but we're pushing through regardless.
You know, and, that kind of reminds me, one more thing. How often do you go out?
Well, we've been going out nearly every weekend there for the last few months now. I went out again last night and took these people out, and we go out regularly, and when we can. At the moment, we've got 8 days of straight rain, heavy rain. So I don't know when I'll get out there again. But we try to go as regularly as possible. I've just got to remember to take gifts every time I go because once you start doing it, you got to keep it up for them and stuff like that. But yeah, so when weather is good,
yeah. Well, I'm definitely interested to see more videos. I like seeing them, and I'll check out some of the other videos that you have. Yeah, and I really do appreciate this. I appreciate you coming on and sharing these stories because it's very important for us to kind of start to learn about it and discover new things because we don't know everything. You know, there's so many unknowns to this reality.
The worst thing you can do is go out there and be scared. If you want interaction, you can't be scared. You've just got to, just accept it and just say, hey, that's right, rock, they do something, go, that was really cool, can you do it again? And that's when you'll start sort of building the relationship and never, ever run out of there. There's no point. If they wanted you dead, you're not going to get away from them.
Right. I want to thank you for watching this video. I really hope that you enjoyed it. We talk about a lot of crazy stuff here, so if you want to hear more, just like and subscribe to the channel. It'd really help us out a lot. And plus, if you have a crazy story, whether it be an alien abduction, near-death experience, or something of the paranormal, or a glitch in the matrix, please let us know. Share it in the comments. We'd love to have you on the show.